Hello, and welcome to the Healing Dreams Project podcast, exploring projective dream work for your health and wholeness, with hosts Billy Ortiz and Dr. Roy Spitz. I'm the producer, Viviana, and today we have a special guest, Katherine Bell. Oh, we're so excited about this. Katherine is an astrophysicist. Is that cool or is that cool?
She has a PhD. We're not sure that's legal, but she is one of those.
They're both nighttime related, so there's some connection, right?
She has a PhD in astrophysics, and she is a dream coach and workshop facilitator. She's the host of the podcast, The Dream Journal, which I always enjoy, and an interview and call-in show, which has run for 5 years with over 240 episodes so far. She manages conferences for the International Association for the Study of Dreams, where she is also on the board of directors and ethics committee. Katherine is in the editing phase of her first book, entitled Dreams, The Treasure Hunt.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. Welcome, Katherine. We're so happy to see you and have you.
Thank you. So good to be here with you all.
It's a joy to have you.
So, Katherine, tell me about your astrophysics. Where did you study How did that happen?
So I've been a scientist my whole life. My family are all scientists. I have 3 siblings, and my 2 parents, and all 6 of us were in the hard sciences. My parents are retired now, and I'm not a hard scientist anymore, but it just seemed like the right thing to do, and I was good at it. It took me a long time to realize that just because you're good at something doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah.
So I was into astrophysics. I went to Williams College, and then I came out here to Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, and got my PhD in '93, and started working over the hill at NASA Ames Research Center in Mountain View, and I hated it. I was like, what have I done? I've just spent like 12 years on top of, all the high school, getting a PhD, fighting for a job, getting NASA to hire me as a civil servant, and then I was like, oh no, I don't like this. I just was just uncomfortable. But what happened is I was unable to be very productive. I wasn't writing a lot of papers, and so I was invited to be on assistant branch chief. And what that did is that made me a manager, and I started to work with people. And so the people in my branch, all scientists, of course, but I was like helping them navigate the NASA red tape system. Oh my God, working for the government, very intense with red tape. And I found that I really loved working with people. So surprised me, because I think of myself as an introvert. Shall we say I thought of myself as an introvert who liked to be alone. No, turns out I like being with people. I like to help people and to talk to people. I like the whole emotional drama of being human. And that was like my first inkling that something wasn't quite right with my choice of careers. So I worked there for about 11 years. And then when my son was born in 2004, I had the opportunity to quit. I'm like, okay, it worked out financially. And so I just quit. But then it was into the chaos because my marriage was falling apart. I didn't know how to be a mother. I wasn't sure what that was all about. And I just kept going forward. And what I found is the dreams would like wake me up going, there's something really important happening here. And the dreams just seemed to have a lot to say. I didn't know what they were saying, but there was something really valuable that they were giving me. And I'd been interested in dreams for a long time. But this was like this dark night of the soul of trying to figure out where my way forward was. The dreams were really, really helpful. And I about 2 years after I quit NASA, I had a a health crisis up in the Hood River where my appendix ruptured because I was so good at ignoring my feelings that I have ignored this physical pain in my gut. And it just popped. And the doctor was like, you can die. You could have died. It was a really close thing. And so that was the time for me to have a wake-up call and realize that I need to pay attention to my body and to my emotions. And so the dream work got more intense after that. And I found that they had a lot to say about feelings. They had a lot to say about relationships. And it's been a journey from there. And I've just gotten more and more passionate about dreaming.
Wow, what a story. Wow. And looking back, is there any dreams that you remember that were maybe leading up to warning you about the appendix problem? I mean, I don't know how, a lot of times dreams, when they talk about health warnings, it's very metaphorical and it doesn't come across just as clear as, gee, watch out, your appendix is going to burst.
Right.
It's more like things that, like some sort of like a tube or something that gets filled up and then explodes, or I don't know if anything like that happened with your dream world.
There wasn't anything that I was aware of at the time. I maybe could go back. Let's see, 2006. I do have dream journals. I was in a group already at that point, so I could go back and look. But nothing was clearly warning me. For me, it was all about paying attention to my feelings. And I had a lot of warnings about my job, about working for NASA. There was a lot of dreams about just dull, gray, everything is flat. And on these wars, I would see like these battle scenes, like from half a mile up. I'd look down, oh, look, those little ants, they're fighting each other. I was so far away from this battle that was going on in my soul. Everything was black and white, and things were like really numb, or I'd be in a really cold, dark castle, just really defended. And so those were like wake up signs around my job at NASA, that this was like, this is not the right place to be. That was just feeling really unhealthy and cold, so distant. Like, I mean, life was very uncomfortable for me for a long time. It was very unhappy around life. I was suicidal for many years. I just thought life was something I just had to put up with it. So I had to get through it. This sucks. I'll just do the next thing and then the next thing. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I could enjoy life again. And the dreams really were part of that, getting me back into my body, getting me back connected with my life and the joy that's possible in life.
Yeah. Wow. I guess Royce had to go get some water or something. That didn't sound so good.
Well, he's taking care of his body. That's good.
But it's one of those things, with dreams, how they do help to guide us to pay more attention to certain things. And as I said, it's often always written in metaphor. So it like a lot of people ask me, they say, well, if it's really that's important, why does the dream just come and say, hey, Billy, you're in the wrong job and your body's going to suffer for it, and you better figure out how to feed your soul, rather than, so if the dream could say it that clearly to me. But however, I often, when I try to train to see dreams from the whole perspective, is it's commenting on so many different things at the same time, that there's no way it can only just be about the health layer. The health layer happens to be always there with and my version of dreams. There's always some health warning or health notification about, like, when the body goes through the whole check throughout the night. So there's my version of this waking life dream is that I, as Katherine, realized my life literally depends on this. I need to get out of this place. It's a life or death situation. And I mean, sometimes things like that just have to hit us, car accident where it puts me down for a month or two, or whatever it might be, break my leg so I can't I have to stay home and nurture myself.
Well, that's where
So there's
you can use the waking life experience as a dream itself. So the thing
right,
that happened, like the appendix, the ruptured appendix, something was really, and I've never quite thought about it this way, Billy, so this is helpful, that if I think of my ruptured appendix as a waking life dream, is there some way that I was just blocked? I was just so blocked. And then it burst open and it almost killed me. I mean, it could have cost my life. And so there's a way that this blockage, which of the digestion, which for me is like in my body, in my feelings, and that it was just like the castles I was dreaming about, like the battle from above. There was just everything was frozen up. I was very structured. I was doing what I thought I should be doing, rather than what I was called to do, what I wanted to do.
right.
Yeah, and I love your idea about metaphors, Billy. I sometimes like to think that dreams are poetic rather than metaphoric. I mean, there's a lot of metaphors in poems, of course, too. But poems create a whole mood. Like reading a poem, it just puts you in a certain space. And dreams do that, too. And they refer to layers and layers of meaning, not just a simple, oh, get out of that job, something obvious, or get to the hospital already. Nothing. So
Right.
there's like this metaphor that's poetic.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, on that note,
definitely.
I had my car accident in 2020, which is when I dove into dreams even more. So it was a similar sort of thing that parallels of what Katherine has spoken of with her appendix. It's one of those life. It was a head-on collision. So
Wake up.
on Highway 1, as you know, Katherine. Yeah, most people don't survive such a situation at 50 miles an hour. So anyway, I feel that was the birth. It gave birth to my dream, myself as a dream person. and you said you started the podcast just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And you have a huge library.
Yeah.
And tell us how that. And tell us a little how your podcast works, because it's also tied in with a radio station, right?
Exactly. Well, it really keeps me on task because every single week I have a slot at the local community radio station, Saturday mornings, 10 to 11 Pacific time, and that's my slot. And I do a live dream show, and I show up and I get a guest on the show. Hopefully, you'll hear my dream. I share my dream. My worries that happen around this, but I'll get a guest on the show, and then I take callers, people who are interested in dreams, and if they have a dream they want to share or a question for the guests. And so it's recorded live. It's a totally live show, which is always pretty terrifying. And it's on the dot, 10 o'clock, it starts. And whatever's happening, you just go with it. And then it's, half hour break, and then it's over at 11. There's no running over. There's no wiggle room. And so it's really intense. I'd like to say it's something that both keeps me young and gives me gray hairs at the same time. With the show, it's just really enlivening, and it also creates like panic. It's a joke between me and my husband that I burn up all my calories during the show. I've heard the brain is like the biggest calorie eater of them all. We have a nice big breakfast in the morning. Max always makes me a lovely breakfast, and then 1 hour later, when the show's over, I'm ravenous. Like I carry snack bars because I know as soon as the show's over, I'm just going to be. It's really intense, and I love it, and it's been really stimulating for me. I've learned so much from my guests, and I've given me the courage to actually start writing my book, and so this brought me to this place where I'm writing books and giving groups and workshops and all this, and it's been really energizing to my soul as well as to my career.
One of the things I noticed in your energy when you were talking about being an astrophysicist, you have good social skills, so you can communicate very well that life experience. But when you're talking about dreams right now, your energy goes up. Like this is truly a deep calling, a deep passion of you. And and that's part of what dream work does for a lot of us, is it taps into the life force of who we are in a way that sometimes other kinds of life experiences doesn't quite reveal.
Mm-hmm.
But dreams really move us, if we pay attention, into the deeper callings of our journey of our life. And it's often mysterious, as Billy talks about the metaphors, so many levels at the same time being revealed in the dream world to us for our health, healing, and wholeness.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's a totally natural process. It's one thing I love about dreaming. It's like I can teach myself to meditate, or I can follow various trauma-informed practices, whatever they are. But a dream is something that happens totally naturally in the night. It's nobody told me to dream about this. I've never had much luck with dream incubation. So I get what I get. And humans throughout the centuries have always relied on dreams. In fact, mammals all seem to dream. In fact, even latest evidence suggests that octopuses dream. Spiders probably dream. And so there's something incredibly valuable about this process that so many creatures, all the creatures that they have studied, spiders, come on, that they are that these creatures have found that dreaming to be a valuable process. So there's something they're automatic, and I think, and they continue whether I remember a single dream or not. They're still happening in the background, helping me. But I think that I can enhance whatever the dream is doing. You know, I have some ideas, but we don't really know what dreams are doing. Whatever they're doing, we can enhance that by bringing them to consciousness. But they are still doing what they do in the background, whether you remember a single dream or not. I think it's miracles, like such a gift.
If I can make a plug for my book, I talk about that in my book, about that some evolutionary biologists are now looking at how insects, bees, trees, plants have some form of process that in their own way represents or is similar to what we know as dreams. That it seems to be an organic evolutionary energy inside of us to help us as we grow and form and reform our own life forms.
Yeah.
A lot of forms in that sense.
Yeah.
You mentioned octopus before, and there's a wonderful video out. I don't know exactly what it's titled or how to search for it, but it's an octopus who actually is going through the dreaming process, and he continues to change the color of his skin. I mean, his body changes because it's as though he's on the bottom of the ocean, and as he's going up across anything, he has to blend in with the rock, and he has to blend in with the seagrass and everything. And it's really wonderful to watch because he goes through like 6 or 7 different colors, and so the man who's narrating, and he says, watch, he says, this octopus is totally asleep. And it's the same thing when we watch anyone who's had a dog. All dogs, have those like moments of, and they're sniffing, and you can tell them they're like bark. They've got a muffled bark, and you can see the little paws move. So I agree with you very much that it's an organic process. In my version of it, it's keeping us all alive. It's keeping everything living in my dream of the world. Everything living is dreaming, and it's the process that connects us all to all of that as well.
There's something fundamentally important about dreaming, and I think we can all agree on that. And you don't need to even know exactly what it is, but just to appreciate that they do things for us. And well, that's why I tend to work with dreams in a non-interpretive way, because I want to I want to support the dream and whatever it's offering me.
Right. Very nicely said. Thank you.
So this kind of is a nice segue into having Katherine share her dream. And since this is our first live Instagram experience, to let the listeners know that Katherine will share a dream that she had evidently relatively recently, and she'll explain that. We will not interpret her dream, but we will hold the dream with, as best as we can, a deep listening ear, as the listeners will be listening to Katherine's dream. And then we will borrow the dream, in a sense, and project without interpreting, but to borrow the dream, and we'll explain more what that looks like. So is this a good time for you, Katherine, to read through your dream that you are willing to risk yourself to look at these levels of who you are and who we are?
This was Saturday morning's dream, and I'll say that is a show morning. So this is a morning when I'm going to go to the radio and get my guest on the line and go through my recording of my show. And it's become quite a theme for me. I call them my dream journal nightmares, because there's a lot of chaos going on in them, and I've just wondered what it is, because they keep coming back, and it's I'll go ahead and read it, then you'll see. But they have a similar theme of chaos, and I can't make the connection, and so I'm curious to see what
and in this, as you said, this is a theme, and yet this is a unique dream.
Yes.
So it stands on its own. It's like a complete book just by itself. So go ahead and share it.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So January 20, chaotic time in an underground studio I don't recognize. We have a long station break with several announcements, which we do every show. And when I try to get back to the guest has dropped off, and we can't get them back. So I guess I have an engineer helping me, like I do in Waking Life. At one point, I'm playing a clip from the movie Aladdin, a part where the genie flies through the sky and letters appear in the clouds, explaining some mysteries of the movie. I play a little more of that clip, but then I turn it off. I'm frustrated because it's so visual, and I know that it won't come across on the radio if you just hear the genie muttering to himself. I then start fully vamping, including an announcement about the upcoming election in March, encouraging people to get out and vote or to mail in their ballots. People keep coming up to me. I signal by putting my fingers across my lips to be quiet, but they talk to me anyway, distracting me, and I'm sure that people listening on the radio will be able to hear them. I get more and more upset. Two people, after talking to me, walk away grinning to each other. One and done, they say. And so I understand them to mean that they've upset me so much that now I'll die of a heart attack, or maybe just frustration. I can't even find a working clock to know how much time I have left. Seems like my hour is finally up because the next host is there. Someone points to a very unclear station schedule, and I finally figure out what words I have to say to introduce the next host. And I wake up at 3 a.m. very upset, and there's a follow-on, which I went back to sleep, and I woke up again at 6, and it was another dream about being in my radio show, but I was more vamping, more kind of like improvising, but it wasn't as stressful. So something had shifted, and so I was like still kind of improvising, but I wasn't as stressed out about it.
Wow.
So there it is.
I have to smile knowingly, because I have these type of dreams so often, and it's all centered around a dream workshop or a dream retreat that I've planned, and something has gone wrong.
Oh boy.
I had one time where I used to do a lot of events at hotels, and in one of the dreams I'm at a hotel, and all the running water stopped. There was no water. And then years ago, I used to have one typical theme was I'd be in the meeting room and I have everything set up and we're ready to get started. And there's in another room somewhere there's a very loud stereo and or radio that I cannot turn off. And so the whole time I'm in the dream, I can't even get down to the actual dream work process because I have to go and deal with all these problems and emergencies. So it feels to me, I mean, and just as I say that, my imagined version of these dreams, when we dream about being in our work, I would always say, I don't need my dreams to tell me that I do dream work. I already didn't know that. That's something I already know. So there's another layer there about it's the metaphor of what does dream work really mean to me, and in one version of it. So in my dream, I would ask myself the same question. I'm frustrated that I can't get the guest back, and I'm frustrated because of something happens with these people with the I say something like be quiet and all this kind of stuff. So there's something past that I have to see. I have to be, the dream's inviting me to go beyond my conventional ways of doing things. For instance, my husband's an improvisational piano player, and he's been playing piano since he was like 8, and he's like 72 now. So, but he often has dreams where he sits down at a piano and something's wrong with the piano. There's like something's missing, or the keys are like he had one where the keys were actually made out of little finger sandwiches. So he starts playing and the whole thing just starts to destroy. He's had other ones where he looks into the inside of the piano and something's always wrong with the piano. So my first dream teacher, Dr. Ron, he listened to these dreams and he said, well, in my version, he says, I already know how to play piano. So that's some place that I'm comfortable going. As Erilyn, I'm comfortable going to the piano. As Billy, I'm comfortable going to dream work. So the dream takes that away from me, so that I have to come up with something different. I have to do something different, something other than what I'm most comfortable with. I break out of my conventional ways of doing things. So that's what's helped me with my dreams. That resonates with me. But
well, it's interesting because I wouldn't say I'm comfortable with my radio show. I mean, I love it. It's not relaxing. And so it's interesting. There's something about like you think like, oh, frustration dream. Just a frustration dream.
Yeah. Like
we all got frustration dreams. And yet I don't think that's just it's not telling me something I already know, like you were saying, that there's something new about this. And I think one thing is that it does really highlight for me how intense it is for me. It's very vulnerable.
Yes.
To be out there live with people listening over the radio. I get a little bit of editing before I release the podcast on Monday. But most of the show goes right out as is, and glitches and all, and weird things like happening on Instagram Live right now. We're just doing it live.
Exactly.
And so there's something.
When I heard Katherine, when I heard the dreamer say, "I feel very vulnerable in this experience, and this is something I love, and I don't." You had an interesting choice of words. This is something I love, and I don't feel like I'm relaxed doing it. Something like that. So when I borrow this dream and take it in, the early part of the dream, where this dream starts, is that I'm in an underground studio. Okay. So this suddenly, when I heard that part, I had my goosebumps. Like, I know in my version, I know how to run a radio program. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, there are lots of ins and outs. Unlike well, very similar to Instagram Live, as we are stumbling and fumbling and bumbling our way through
Yes.
this. Okay. In this dream, though, I start underground. That for me is saying, even though I know this job pretty well,
Mhm.
I am moving into a deep space. This job, on one hand, and dreams, on another hand, take me into a level of my inner self that I don't know very well.
Mm.
And so I'm in the underground, I'm in the underworld, I'm in my deeper unconscious that is not yet speech ripe. And I notice in part of the dream that there are things that I can't get said proper or I can't hear properly.
Mm-hmm.
So this again is a reflection for me of being in the underworld within my shadow side, not shadow not as negative, shadow as that aspect of me that I don't know very well.
Yeah.
So I'm moving into this space, and everything that I usually use, like I know how to use the mic, I know how to come in on time, I know how to use the app to make this radio show live. I already know that. In this dream, though, this stuff ain't working.
Yes.
So again,
Right.
it causes me my biological stress reactions, because my brain in some way doesn't know that I'm dreaming. So my limbic system is starting to react. Like
Oh, yeah.
my heart's racing, I'm getting nervous. It's like, this is a show, the show must go on. Nobody's cooperating. Where did the guests go? Well, again, it's like that is a gift beyond the stress, beyond the feeling. There is a gift here of me moving into new areas that I don't yet know
True.
about.
Right.
True. And my goal is definitely not to remove all the stress from my life. I think that would be what I ever get out of bed. I mean, I think that there's a healthy stress. There is a way that this excitement is something that I really like. These challenges that I've set myself are part of what makes life worth living. I must say that I've had a little bit of an aha while I'm listening to this here, and I don't know exactly where it comes from, but there's something about the idea that feel like I'm doing it all alone. Like there's a hint that I have somebody helping me when I say we can't get the guest back on the air, but after that I'm on my own. Like I'm ignoring people, like I'm shushing people. What if they're coming up to help me? What if they're coming up to
Right.
be my guest to talk about
That's
dreams? And I'm just like, get away. Like, well, I think that's me. I think I have to do it all myself. And that's a big aha for me because it's such a familiar pattern.
yeah.
It's just helpful to realize like, oh yeah, when I get scared, I shut off all help. That's a
Right.
big aha for
Right.
me. I think it's that.
So these entities in the dream that come to me as people, in my version, then what seems to be happening is that they want to be my ally, and there's another part of me that's trying to shush them.
Yes.
So if we were to revisit this dream, I'm wondering what they would need to say. Part of them felt kind of impish, like the trickster interrupting me.
Yeah.
And the trickster comes as a way to get a new perspective.
Right.
And so I'm wondering,
I'm just getting aha. Pardon me, I'm real excited. I'm just getting ahas. This is great. Like, what if the whole thing, the trickster, you're talking about the trickster, the one and done, where they're like, oh, we got her now. And what if I'm right? Oh yeah, the short shit. But what if they're correct that this part of me that is so fiercely independent is ready to die? Maybe it's something that needs to die, because death in the dream world is often a sign of deep transformation. So maybe it's a good thing that they're kind of pushing me to a place where this part, my brain explodes.
Yeah.
And so like I can start to let go of some of that fierce unhealthy independence.
I,
Viviana has,
Go ahead, please, Viviana, and then I'll say.
No, I just absolutely love this dream, Catherine. It just reminds me, I'm often, this is a common theme in my dream world as well, that I can't find. I'm a performer, and I love what you said, that I love this job, and I'm not relaxed when I'm doing it. That's exactly how I feel when I'm performing. Every concert that I play, I feel exactly that. And I'm constantly dreaming that I can't find the stage, that I can't remember the first note. And I use these sorts of dreams as opportunities to fine tune my craft even more. Because I wake up scared and then I think, okay, I've got to go practice, or I've got to put my suitcase in order, or maybe I didn't plan, my checklist is not right. So I use it, it's just an opportunity for me to be even gain more clarity and craft my performance even further. So I love that aspect of these dreams. And since was what was touched upon about the people silencing or shushing them, or I don't want the distractions. If this were my dream or my imagined version of this, it's an opportunity to question myself. I wonder if I have distractions or unwanted interferences in my life who are kind of shutting me down or not, or keeping me away from my path. So
Yeah, that's true. I like that. Let me mull that over. That's good. That's helpful. Billy, we were going to say something, right?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you mentioned the death, the part where it says, I understand them to mean that they've upset me so much that I'll now die of a heart attack, or maybe just frustration. So it's like, it's important that we reiterate often, because anytime we think of anybody in any, I don't want to die, and I don't want to die of a heart attack in waking life, but in the dream world, it is one of the places we can say always shows up to represent extreme psychospiritual growth and change.
Yeah.
The old me has died, so the new me can be born. And that means that it's so radical, it's as though that part of me is gone. It's finished.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would, in my dream, that would be really important. I mean, happens with my dream worker friends. We get we get together and we'll say, I had this dream the other night that I died. And they're like, congratulations, because, and it's one of those things,
a nightmare.
really, congrats. And
I know.
I love everybody else's dream about this instead of but not my own, because it's so stressful.
It was awful because I've had the bear chase me, and I could feel the bear's breath on the back of my neck. I've had the gunman threaten me, and I've crawled away like commando style to hide and get out of the bank, that kind of thing. And then I wake up and I go, damn, I should have let the bank robber kill me. I should have let the bear. I should have slowed down so the bear could devour me. And it's one of those things, but at the time it feels real. It's like, it feels as though it's wasting life. And I'm like, I'm going to get the hell out of here. This bear's going to kill me. But it's hard to get that perspective in the dream world. But so in my version, whenever death is mentioned, I've reached some point of evolution in my consciousness, something really radical about either how I feel about my work in the world, or about how I feel about myself, or something about my inner resilience has.
Yeah.
This is a very important piece in my dream that Billy is bringing up. When I have dreams of some version about dying or near death, this represents a major evolutionary aspect of my own self. My development in the here and now, in the waking world, is undergoing major change, and the dream's honoring that. So I want to go back to underground part of the dream and
Yeah.
how it begins. And then this is where the dream, how it begins, and this is where the dream ends, where I'm contemplating my own death. So that gives me goosebumps. Underground, in my deeper self, and then I'm being transformed at the very end of this dream. And I know not what that's looking like. And that's the beauty of a dream. It doesn't exactly tell us what to do or what is going on in a predictive way. It does lift up, though, that in my dream, I'm changing so much that I may not even know
Yeah.
myself.
It's like my identity is what's dying. Like, is there a way that my identity is in danger, which is good, which can be good, but it's also really scary. Because, like, I think of
Right.
myself as this, well, like I was saying,
Exactly.
I think of myself as an introvert, as like an independent person and someone who doesn't need a lot of help. And yet, so if I'm not going to be that anymore, now I'm going to be somebody who maybe says, oh, what do you have to say? Instead of shushing the people and sending them away. That's a whole different kind of a person, and it's scary. Like you were saying, Billy, in the dream, like, why didn't I just let the bear kill me? It's because I'm really invested in this version of who I am. Even when I'm asleep, this is who I am. I'm not going to let you kill me. And yet we can recognize that maybe would be the best thing, is if we could let that part of myself go. It's scary, but it's valuable.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the puzzle. Is what is ultimately what is the dream ego? Because I know myself to be Billy Ortiz in this life, and I know myself to be 5'1" and all that kind of stuff. But there's a whole other version of me in the dream world sometimes. I had a dream once where I was an 11-year-old boy that worked for a magician, and it was like felt like another. It felt very natural in the dream. So again, Dr. Ron's come up a couple times, but he used to say a wonderful thing about dreams, that remember that the ego wants more of the same, more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. It's really difficult. Change and transformation is difficult because what we've got all of a sudden now doesn't fit into this new transformation part of myself. So we cling to what we know because it's safe, it's more comfortable. It's like having an old pair of shoes I love, and I just don't want to get a new pair of shoes because I know the new pair of shoes is going to take a long time to break in. It's going to hurt, and I'm going to feel like crap. So, but I want my old comfortable shoes, even though they're falling apart. I still want the comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
So it's anyway. That's my.
I think dreams help get us out of our rut, and like more of the same, more of the same, more of the same, and yet this bear is chasing me, trying to get me out, or these people are coming up and talking to me, trying to get me out of my rut, and I'm fighting, I'm holding in there, and yet I get a nudge, and so then that's why the value of working with these dreams when I'm awake is that I can bring my consciousness to bear on the same issue and like notice when I'm being fiercely independent, going, no, I don't need any help. Because I do that. Like, I got it, you know? And it's not, and I can go, oh, wow, it's like that dream. And it kind of, that helps the shift, the neurological shift or the soul level shift, which I think is the same thing. There's something that the dreams, there's something about psychedelics they call relaxed beliefs under psychedelics, that psychedelics put our brain into a state where our beliefs are, those ruts are relaxed, and then we can change our beliefs. And dreaming is a very similar state to psychedelics, and so we actually get that relaxed belief system so that we wake up with a slight shift, and then the next morning another shift. And so these little shifts, I think a lot of these shifts happen when we're sleeping, when we're dreaming.
Thank you. That evolutionary energy that's always working in us, sometimes not to our awareness. This energy that's beyond us is continually wanting to change us. So in my dream, if I were an astrophysicist, a PhD with an astrophysicist world, so how would I handle myself. In my imagined version is that I would want things to be really precise, and there would be certain kinds of understandings and rules that I would need to study. As a scientist, I want precision. I want something that is predictable as much as possible. I would go for the mystery, but yet I would use my logical side to try to understand that whole process. And in the dream world, the part of me that is exploring this unknown underground, it doesn't fit with my normal logic. And so as I die in the dream or am frightened to death, that is another that is more evidence for me that I am changing and I'm going beyond my presuppositions. And this is scary. Now, my ego is not always my enemy. My ego is trying to keep me alive in this waking world. I have to pay my bills. I have to use logic. I have to protect myself. Okay, I'm going to honor that. And the dream world, though, says, pardon?
Yeah. I just was going along with you. I have to actually stop at the stoplight.
Yeah.
I actually have to.
Yeah, I have to. We have to follow traffic rules. Yeah, and yet the dream world doesn't care about that. In fact, it's the dream world's specialty is to throw me out of the box, throw me into my underground, and bring me up with a whole different perspective of who I am.
Yeah.
Vivian.
Sorry, I'm not good at blurting in. I'm well trained to raise my hand. So. I just love what Rice had just mentioned about if I were an astrophysicist, yes, my right side of the brain would be the more developed side. Is that correct?
The
left side
is the scientific side, I think.
Yeah.
The logical,
right.
The linguistic, yeah.
And it just in my dream, the part about Aladdin. Aladdin is a fantastical, magical, out of this world, disappearing here, not here, there. And I'm having trouble conveying this very complex visual information.
Yes.
And I'm facing the limitation of not being able to convey it. So I'm wondering if in my real life communication, sometimes I struggle or I'm faced with these challenges. There's just especially as a scientist with a scientist brain.
Yeah.
There's that piece, and then the election announcement. Just I love how announcing the upcoming election in March and a sense of responsibility and concern about the civic engagement. And so it's just a wonderful call as the dreamer. I love how I'm feeling the need to express to the listeners that everyone must participate, everyone must show up in this democratic process.
Absolutely, it's very important to me. It is. The election is a big deal for sure, and so it's like I'm connecting that with the Aladdin thing, and that the letters in the sky. I dismiss that. Like maybe that's too heady. Maybe it's too. Maybe that's the right thing to do. I mean, dream ego isn't always wrong. Sometimes dream ego is right, but I am ignoring the genie. It's interesting, a genie flying across the sky. So there's something powerful here that I'm bringing in that I kind of dismiss. So I wonder about that. And then the go-to of the election is like it's a kind of a fallback because it's something that I feel really strongly about. Yeah. And you all vote too. That's doing right now. But it also gets me away from talking about my feelings too. It gets me into a place as a different kind of a mode. So it's still an escape from feelings.
So in my version, Aladdin has a lot to do with magic, and Aladdin has a lot to do with wishes. That's what the genie does. The
True.
genie to grant me the wish, the three wishes, and I have to be very careful what I choose because it can always often backfire. So,
Does
so
seem
for me,
to do that.
the Aladdin piece is about the part of me that is able to imagine things, magical things, way beyond my original ideas of where I think my life might be going. So I also have a feeling that the name itself, Aladdin, there's some other thing that sounds like that.
Well,
Aladdin,
there's
a lad
the
in, a lad, man inside of me, a
lad.
lad. So there's some, I think dreams, they like to play with words. That's been my experience over the years. They really, and it's very specific when they include a word. Now, am I, as Catherine, am I someone who likes Aladdin? Have I watched the movie? Or do I care about the movie? Or is it,
Not particularly.
are the story?
I have watched it, and it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I like the whole thing of the genie granting wishes. There's something about that seems powerful. Like, what would my wish be? And here is Aladdin, and I just dismissed it. It's like, because I was so focused on what I thought I had to do that no,
Right.
get rid of that. Because it was a movie in the dream, but the way dreams are, it could easily have been real life. I could have maybe flown up and joined him or something.
I
Well,
like that paying attention to my wishes.
Yeah.
Perhaps I could pay more attention to my wishes. And Allah in Spanish, pay attention. Allah in Spanish means wings. So there's an element of the etherealness coming through again, and maybe the desire to dive even more into this ethereal realm.
Yeah.
It's like relying, it's like there is otherworldly help available to me. And if I'm going to keep staying, just in this realm, if I just, oh, no, that's not possible. If I ever hear myself saying, oh, that's not possible, then I remember Aladdin flying through the sky and say, it is. And I believe that there are energies, we all are higher power energies that are standing around waiting for us to ask for their help. They're like,
how do I ignore my own wishes? How do I ignore my wishes and think they're not possible? Just go up. I think I ignore a lot. 50 wishes a day that they don't even get up to the level of consciousness, maybe, because I'm just like, that's not going to happen. But why? I mean, that's just a habit. Maybe if I let them, or maybe I would say the dream is indicating that I'm starting to become aware of my wishes. And so that's great, because certainly that's been a lot of my journey in this whole dreaming process in the last 20, 30 years, has been becoming more aware of my feelings, which are wishes. And then sometimes they have words, and sometimes it's just a longing. Yeah.
Right. Very good. Yeah, sometimes just a longing. That's a good way to put it. There's just, sometimes I can't verbalize it. Sometimes I can't define it. It's just a longing that's always there, a desire that's there. Some deep down inside, there's a desire that, and I think that's one of the metaphors of the story of Aladdin and the genie is that I have to really vocalize what I really want in order to manifest it. Because if I just say, oh, well, I kind of like this, and maybe that would be all right. But no, I gotta say, listen, I want a Jaguar XP. I want it to be gray exterior, black interior. All this, whatever it might be. Just to clearly define it as a hope and a wish. What direction do I want my life to go?
With clarity.
Yeah. Clarity, that's how you manifest.
In my dream, I wouldn't have had Aladdin in my dream unless I would have been in the underground. That there, for me, is a connection because I'm underground, now all realms are open, metaphorically, perhaps even literally. All metaphors are now open to me. So then my imagination inside my dream kicks in. I'm watching the Aladdin the movie. In the waking world, Aladdin was not very impressive to me as a movie. I saw it, but what the hell? It wasn't that good of a
Yep.
movie for me. It didn't capture my imagination. However, my dream self is captured by that imaginal figure. So, and so now I have new possibilities. I see letters in clouds. You know, we can't make that out. How do we do that? It's very imaginative. So part of my journey in this dream is to unlock my dependence, healthy dependence on people, something I've never imagined that I could be comfortable doing. Also, I'm writing a book. I'm moving into realms that I've never, and now I'm learning to teach with people. And so this also is unlocking my imaginal realm that wants to come into the waking world as flesh and blood. And in the limits of our language, we would say, oh, that's magical. Well, what does that mean? It is not extra natural. It is our natural way of being. And so the dream is lifting that up.
Was that the flying carpet, Viviana?
I know, I
Yeah.
was writing in the sky because you're writing a book
Right.
like the letters that Aladdin had. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What were those words that I dismissed? Yeah. Oh, this is
It kind
great.
of place to maybe bring it to an arbitrary close. Is there anything else you wish to focus on in the dream that we skipped over, or that you can get a chance to talk about? Or
Well, let me just,
because I have one burning question I want to ask.
Yeah, go for it.
How would you how would you define vamping, and what exactly, how
Oh.
would you clarify what vamping is? Such a great word.
Yeah, well, I even Googled it because I'm like, does it mean what I think it means? And it was like the fourth or fifth definition. But we say that at the radio station when they're just like stretched, keep going, say a little more. We got another 90 seconds to fill.
Right.
Fill. And one
Filler.
of the definitions was a vamp is a kind of a background music that you're supporting the lead singer, like while you're waiting for the lead singer to come in. The background musicians could be like doing a little piece. So it's like, Viviana knows this, the musical versions of this.
Yeah.
And so I'm just filling. I'm filling. I'm always paranoid about this. And so this morning, I want to tell you though, that after having this dream and I went to the studio that morning, I'm always worried, is this precognitive? Oh no. So this was the studio morning. And my guest, I couldn't get in touch with them. Usually I text them about half an hour before the show, and they usually text right back and say, where's the link and all this. And I didn't hear from them. And I'm like, uh-oh, my dream's coming true, my nightmare. But what I did, which was actually useful, I didn't end up needing it yet on Saturday, but I'll use it in the future, is I went to an email copy of my book, because I to save it, I email myself copies every time I do some changes. And I screenshotted a bunch of pages so that if it gets to the point where my guest doesn't show up, because it does occasionally happen, and I need to seriously vamp, I can fill a lot of time by reading parts of my book.
Great. And
so that
we were talking
would be that would
before
just be
we
a
started
way of vamping and some more.
Well, yeah.
But
And also I think of a vamp as kind of like, I don't know,
vampire.
loose. A vampire. But what you were saying about precognitive, I also, one of the things I've learned over the years is that every dream knows where it's going to be shared and with whom. And I remember when I was at a radio show, you had the new app where I called in on my phone and I was not audible and I had to call back in. And so actually happened. So I'm reading your
Yeah.
and I'm going like,
Wait
oh, that
a
was
minute.
me.
Okay, that's kind of nuts, Billy. That was like 2 years ago, though, right? Or something like that. You were on the show, and I've blocked all that out. So I've had over 100 shows since then. So I don't remember who had the trouble and who didn't, but you obviously remember because you were the guest. So
I was
interesting.
talking.
So, and then maybe I knew I was going to be talking to you on Monday.
That's what I'm saying. All the dreams always know who's going to be listening to them and where they're going to be shared. And even though that happened two and a half years ago, whatever it was, the dream came to you last Saturday because, and here you are on this Monday, we're recording. I don't think that's an accident. I've seen it happen way too many, where I've seen people share a dream that say, for instance, somebody was coming and somebody else had said, oh, I'm going to share a dream at the next, group. And they, for some reason, can't show up. And then, so another person shares a dream. And then it starts mentioning the people that are in the room. That's kind of creepy. I have to tell you, the synchronicity is so specific sometimes that I go, and that's what really hooked me into dreamwork. As I said, this is more than just sitting around talking about dreams. This is something that connects everybody on a different level beyond the way they connect with one another.
Well, in a way, this is the Aladdin. In a way, this is the Aladdin effect. This magician inside my dream, this genie that is Billy's version. That people that I don't know are going to be a part of my dream as I share this dream. That at one point I'm not aware of who's going to hear it. At another point, they do hear it, and that's the Aladdin effect of the kind of the magic of what dreams seem to know ahead of us.
The Aladdin effect. Ooh, I'm going to.
I love it.
I'm a writer. May I borrow that?
Go for it.
As a story, the Aladdin effect. Yes.
Well, maybe we've all communicated. We already did a little pre-show last night, or maybe Saturday morning in my dreams. You guys know what's coming up.
Well, see, we're tapping into an infinite source of wisdom. So yes, and it's beyond us, way beyond us. We have to try with our tiny pea-sized brains to try to figure out what the hell this dream might mean, But everything about me as the dreamer, and about, as I mentioned, everything that's around, everything that's going to be shared when the dream is spoken aloud.
Yeah.
So there's.
Well, yeah, I've wondered if the dreams themselves, are a way for us to go out into other realms. And that maybe while we're dreaming, we are actually connecting with each other, connecting with God or whatever, connecting with, the place we go when we're going to die. I don't know. Like maybe there's a reason that it's so universal among living beings, because it has to do with what animates us. Could it be like a connection not only between us, but, with the universe, or with the non-material universe?
Many times I believe it is also our ancestral realm, our ancestral lineage that shows up in our dreams. Like these people who are trying to talk to me later in the dream, as the dreamer, it's like maybe they're really going to be like somebody heard you say, maybe they're going to help me. So those could be my ancestors as a dreamer. That's I know they're there for me, but I don't recognize.
And I'm there for them also. The ancestors the ancestral energies need me as I need them, because they're growing when I change and grow. When I die in the dream, they somehow, in an energetic level, change and transform too. So this is a back and forth circular experience of growth and development.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Any other reflections, Catherine, that you have before we draw this amazing dream to an arbitrary close, as Billy said?
Well, I'm just kind of mulling over what Viviana was saying about how the dreams like can be something to help me do a little checklist. It's like, is there somewhere like literally in waking life I could create a little more support for myself around the show? And I don't know what that would look like, but maybe it's a little too stressful for me. Maybe there's something I could use a little more help with. And so I'm just going to mull that over. I
Well,
haven't
even
really
the fact
considered that.
you answered it in that you said you brought your book just to have as a backup because of the dream. So it's that kind
Yeah,
of thing
true.
that that was perfect. That's a
Yeah,
perfect
Yeah,
way of having more material in case something should go wrong.
that's
yeah, that's true. That's
I always have kind of a little bit of a backup plan in case my
mm-hmm.
doesn't show up or loses contact with loses the cell phone service, whatever. There's some hint in my dream, definitely, to be prepared. Expect nothing and be prepared for everything, as they say.
Mhm.
Well, it also makes me wonder if I want to try Instagram Live from the show somehow. Can I figure out how to do it? So I'm on the radio
That would be,
station.
yeah. This is new. All right.
All right.
You never
So,
know.
Catherine, where might somebody get in touch with you?
Yes. So my business is called Experiential Dreamwork. So you can find my webpage. It's called experientialdreamwork.com because I believe the dream is all about the experience. It isn't about the interpretation of it so much as the experience of it. And you can find my podcast, The Dream Journal. It's out in podcast land. So Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, YouTube. I now have a part of YouTube. So you add KSQD is our station. K Squid is the way to remember it. The Squid. KSQD, the Dream Journal on YouTube will get you to the YouTube channel. They're audio only, just a still picture, but it's a great way to listen. Um, Something else flowed through my mind, but I lost it. I guess it'll come around again.
The name of your book again.
The name of my book. The book to be Dreams, the Treasure Hunt. It's not out yet. I've finished the first draft and now I'm in the editing phase of like ripping out all my favorite parts and putting in some new parts, and so it'll be a little while, but I am having so much fun as this part of this process. And so thank you for your support. Thanks so much for having me on the show, guys. I'm really loving this.
No, it was wonderful to have
And
you, and what a
you guys
fantastic dream.
you guys will come onto my podcast too. I already had Royce, but I might get the whole crew of you or one at a time. We'll talk about it. I love how we can really support each other instead of being competitive. We're not competitors here. We're collaborators and colleagues. And so I love that we can support each other.
That's exactly how I do. I always like to promote other people's work in the world. Thank you.
So, Billy, tell us about wakeuptoyourdreams.com. What's on offer these days?
Okay, well, I'm gonna have eye contact with my phone, and then I have eye contact with my camera, go back and forth, so I can like speak to whomever is watching me or listening. So you can reach me at wakeuptoyourdreams.com. I host Zoom groups in the afternoon and some in the evening, and the calendar's up there. Sign anytime you want. I also I'm getting back into my in-person DreamWork events, and I've been doing dream retreats for the past 20 years, and the next one's coming up May 3rd through the 5th at I'm sorry, yes, May 3rd through the 5th at Peaceful Meadow Retreat Center here in Boulder, Colorado. I already have people signing up, so please go to the website if you want to attend. I suggest you get your registration in soon, especially if you want to stay on site because there's not that many rooms available there. Beautiful spot. This lovely, those of you who are watching on YouTube, behind me is this beautiful lake with clouds that's taken at Peaceful Meadow. I also am going to start up another round of the Dreamworker training program through the Rocky Mountain Institute for projective dreamwork. I started to say professional dream, that too. So I have how to conduct their own groups and sessions and become dream workers themselves. wakeuptoyourdreams.com.
Excellent. And Royce, tell us about roycefits.com. What's new with you?
Well, the first thing that's new is Instagram Live. So I want to thank all of our listeners who are patient and joined us as we invented this very first experience of Instagram Live.
As we bumble.
So thank you. As we bumble, fumble, stumble, and dream into this. You can find me at Royce Fitts, F-I-T-T-S, roycefits.com. One thing I do want to mention is go to my website. During February, coming up in a couple of weeks, for 4 Tuesdays in February, I'm offering a free dream experience, projective dreamwork experience. And so you can go to the website, find that, just scroll down a little bit underneath the banner, and sign up. This is going to be, as I said, a free Zoom dream group, and we will explore projective dream work for our health, healing, wholeness, and wisdom. And so I want people to spread the word, spread the dreams about that. The other part I want to mention is, yes, I know what Katherine is going through with her journey to write a book. My book is out now, The Geography of the Soul, and subtitle is Dreams, Reality, and the Journey of a Lifetime. So take a look at that book too via my website. So thank you, everybody on Instagram and in Zoom world for joining.
Maybe mention your website again. I know it's on your
Yeah, roycefits.com, roycefitts.com.
And I'm Viviana. My website is viviana.org. I am a professional musician by day and dream worker by night. My dream website is viviana.org/magic. Speaking of Aladdin. And we do have a dreamer hotline. So if you would like to call in your dream, or you can even leave it here on Instagram or email it to us. But our dreamer hotline to call it in is 720-573-9195. We are the Healing Dreams Project podcast. Subscribe to us, like us, comment, and we are speaking the language and stories and symbols and metaphors and archetypes of dreams. Until next time, thank you, Katherine, once again. Until next time, sweet dreams.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for everybody. Bye-bye.